Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, and today I'm going to be reviewing an audio drama for Doctor Who. This is the special 50th anniversary audio drama, The Light at the End, which basically shows the first 8 Doctors sort of having this adventure. This is just going to be a review like the audio reviews that I have done in the past. Normally Dad's here, but I let him off the hook on this one. Which, if you want to go listen, if you want to go watch those reviews, they should all be in the Doctor Who Classic playlist. I don't know which playlist I'm putting this in. Should I put this in the regular Doctor Who playlist because it's just me, or should I put it in the Classic playlist because these are classic Doctors? I don't know. You will have already found out. This is just a review, not a reaction, because reacting to an audio drama just sounds silly. Hopefully you have listened to this and know basically what I'm going to be talking about in this episode. Here, I need to just sort of... Well, I'd like to adjust these a little bit so that... There. You can sort of see them all a bit more. Okay, anyway. Hopefully you have listened to this so you know what on earth I'm talking about in this video. I don't suspect this is going to be too terribly long, but who knows? Sometimes I ramble. I'm just going to be going over all the notes I took, and we're just going to be going through and having a good time. And also, if you want to listen to this audio drama for Doctor Who, there are links in the description to where you can support the official release, basically. So yeah, with that being said, we might as well start talking about this. The first thing I wrote down about this audio drama was the theme song. So actually, I'm going to pull it up here. It'll load up in a second. This theme was really great, actually. Any second now. It'll load up. But I really like the theme that they put at the beginning. The Doctor Who theme, basically. And any second now, it's going to load up. Oh, yeah. I like this a little bit. Oh, you can start with. Yeah. Come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. Okay, let me do this. Oh, for God's sake. Let me get this. Are you freaking me? Are you kidding me? Oh my God, it's driving me insane already. Okay, forget it. I tried playing the theme, but this is driving me insane. It's not loading properly, so screw it. Basically, I like the theme. It has a lot of... It updates it a bit, definitely. It updates it, but it does keep sort of the original theme to it. Which was pretty nice. So, really did enjoy the theme song. There. How hard was that to say? That took me like 3 minutes because this wouldn't load. Anyway. Let's see. Moving on in the notes, I wrote down November 23rd, 1963. I do like that. That this did actually take place when, the show started. Now, it's interesting because, every doctor says there's nothing significant about that date. It's interesting because you would think that would be like the day that Ian and Barbara forced their way onto the TARDIS, and then the TARDIS left in An Unearthly Child. So you would think that would just be like, oh, that's the day that they left. But it doesn't seem... None of them referenced it, basically. Let's see. We had the 8th Doctor, who did not land on Earth, but instead was at this sort of weapons factory with a display show, which was interesting. This whole, setting of a weapons factory I thought was a very interesting sort of location. So that was interesting. I did like that. It was nice having Aid and Charlie back, especially, the 8th Doctor, because we don't really get, we don't get a lot of him. The most I've had him in is the movie when we listened to The Chimes of Midnight, where he also had Charlie, and then Night of the Doctor. That's pretty much all I've seen / heard him in. until now. So we get a bit more of him, which was really nice. But yeah, this whole this place with the vests, this whole weapons factory was interesting. When he stumbled in with the one guy was like, "Oh, is that it? You know, I wanted more explosions and stuff." And it's like, what is happening? It's just the weapons factory, man. So that was interesting. Our main villain of this was the Master, which made sense. Although I will say, like, sort of jumping ahead a little bit, you know, the whole thing about this particular story is that the Master wanted to basically erase the Doctor from history, basically, you know, before he ever left Gallifrey. So that's interesting. Sometimes I think, though, the Master is a little too ambitious with some of these plans. Like, you know, okay, some of the stuff, like, okay, in Terror of the Autons or in the Doctor Who movie, or even, like, you know, Sound of Drums or End of Time or something like that. Like, you know, those are all fine. It's just interesting when the Master tries to destroy multiple Doctors. I always find that interesting, which I guess the only other time I've really seen that was in the Five Doctors when he tried to do that. He was like, "Oh, you know, I'll kill, you know, all of you. It's not satisfying just to kill you once." And it's like, that means you are facing multiple Doctors. Why would you ever put the Doctor in the same room as himself, you know? It just never seems like a good idea. Like, unless you team up with previous versions of yourself, Master, you shouldn't do this, you know? So, I don't know. I just thought that's just sort of interesting. Let's see. We had a bit of the Fourth Doctor and Leela. So I have not seen Leela in any of the episodes of Tom Baker that I've watched. I believe, because I do have... I did, you know, have some reference pictures here for this audio. I believe she is the notorious... as they put it in here, sort of the Tarzan companion. You know, female Tarzan. You know, I'm pretty sure she's the one, you know, with like the leather bikini. So that was interesting. It was also interesting, like, her interaction with both the Fourth Doctor and the Eighth Doctor, I thought was interesting. And, you know, her always, like, having the crossbow ready and taking on the vest. Excuse me, throat's drying out a bit. So I did like her. I thought she was fun. Let's see. The Fourth Doctor and the Eighth Doctor teamed up for a little while, and they ended up in the Master's TARDIS, which I thought was interesting. And I like the trick that how they got in. Hell, I can do it right here. Is they basically took their two sonic screwdrivers, even though, yes, it's not these, but they took their two sonic screwdrivers and touched them together. And because they are the same sonic screwdriver, technically, it caused enough temporal energy release, basically, in order to like, unlock the Master's TARDIS. So I thought that was very clever. I did like that. Let's see. The Seventh Doctor. Seventh Doctor's rolling his R's again. If you watched our review of Damaged Goods, which is a Seventh Doctor audio, you will know that we were talking about how the Seventh Doctor really likes rolling his R's. Which, when we watched him in Remembrance of the Daleks, we didn't hear that a lot. You know, he didn't really do it in that episode. So, sure enough, McCoy's still rolling his R's, which is interesting. And we got a bit more of Ace, which is good, because I've only seen Ace in Remembrance of the Daleks. She was not in Damaged Goods. Honestly, Ace is kind of becoming one of my favorite classic companions. I'm really liking her, and I like when the Seventh Doctor is explaining regenerations. I love her line that she gives about each of them. I'm gonna try to load it up, so probably give me a minute.
Why did you call them Doctor?
Oh, because they were me. From the past and the future.
What? But they didn't even look like you.
No, I change from time to time.
Yeah.
You?
Wait, he's gonna roll
I
an R too.
renew myself. I regenerate.
Regenerate.
It's in the nature of a Time Lord.
So,
Here comes her line.
are you seriously telling me all those blokes, old man white hair, Beatles haircut, frilly shirt, long scarf, big eyes, cricket boy, Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and Lord Byron, all of them, they were...
I really like that. I really like Ace. I think she's maybe one of my favorite companions so far, in the classic series at least. I like that, especially Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat or whatever. It's like, I thought that was really funny. And then Lord Byron. I thought that was really funny. It took so long for me to load up that one line. But you also heard there, McCoy rolling his R's. I rejuvenate or regenerate myself. And I was like, oh my gosh, McCoy, chill out with the R's. Why do you have to keep doing that? Anyway, just wanted to bring that up just because it's such a funny line. Let's see. Okay. One thing that was interesting, I like that the Fifth Doctor was actually not in the same sort of situation as the others. He was actually in England, dealing with Mr. Dovey, which I thought was interesting. And it was him, and I believe it was Nyssa too. So he was dealing with Mr. Dovey, who was kind of going insane, but his entire family was killed by the Master using his shrinking ability, which I saw in The Deadly Assassin. So that was interesting. I do like where the Seventh Doctor ended up on this planet. Basically in this trench with these gigantic walls, and it's sort of muddy, and then the mud walls I think they start chasing them. I thought that was interesting. The CIA came back, which we heard about in The Deadly Assassin as well. We had a bit of the CIA with Straxus, which was interesting. And so basically the whole thing was, the Master wanted to undo the Doctor, and the Time Lords, or at least Straxus, gave him the power to do so. He gave him the weapon because it's okay, because the Master found them and was going to basically, had the power to rat them out to the Time Lords, and so they had to keep him quiet, which probably was part of his plan to begin with. And so they offered him he got to pick one weapon, and it just happened to be the worst possible weapon. Which is interesting. It does kind of show you that, Straxus kind of blew it. He really did blow it trying to trust the Master in this. But at the same time, he was also, trying to save his own hide. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's all interesting, though. I like that the Sixth Doctor is actually the one that comes up with the plan. I feel like every Doctor was really utilized. It wasn't just... because the Eighth Doctor is the latest one, he's the one, that's pretty much doing everything, and all the other Doctors are basically his companions. Every Doctor did something very important, which I did like. And the Sixth Doctor was the one that came up with the plan, which was very interesting. Of course, it's been a few days since I finished listening to this, so I don't fully remember, what the plan was, but I do remember, they got all the Doctors together. Well, almost all. They didn't materialize the first three because they don't have those actors, So, but still, it was interesting. Let's see. Oh yeah, we had the conceptual bomb, basically. So the conceptual bomb was basically the Master's plan, which was basically put a conceptual bomb into the mind of Mr. Dovey, so that when he walked into the TARDIS and said, "This is impossible," then the conceptual bomb would go off and just wipe out the TARDIS and the Doctor. So that's interesting. A very cool, very interesting idea, and I did like that. And the fix, the Fifth Doctor was the one that fixed it because, he was the one that allowed Mr. Dovey into the TARDIS in the first place. So what he did was, before the conceptual bomb was planted, he took Mr. Dovey into the TARDIS so that so that he would be like, oh, this is impossible. And it's like, but it is possible. Now he knows it's possible. And then, so then a year later when he goes in, then he wouldn't think, oh, this is impossible. He'd be like, oh, I've been here before, So that was interesting. Another good fix. Another great idea, which I really did like, going back to 1962, actually, which was pretty cool. And I also did like, crashing and, hitting the chimney and stuff. And it's like, oh, it's a police box. And then just out comes the Fifth Doctor. It's like, would you like to come up here? So I thought that was funny. I wrote down the time ram. That was also an interesting thing that I guess they didn't do. So they were all going to basically ram their TARDISes into the Master, which would have destroyed him. But I don't think they ended up doing that, did they? Because, none of these events would have happened anyway, None of these events happened because everything fixed itself. So they wouldn't have needed to do that. And I think I think it was the First Doctor that was like, maybe we shouldn't kill a man in cold blood. I think he said something like that. But still, it was an interesting concept. And also, which I probably should have mentioned this from the beginning, I like that this is all predicated on the emergency light. And they said, like, the emergency light was, the TARDIS trying to tell them everything, which is cool, the TARDIS, trying to tell them that there's an emergency happening. That kind of harkens back all the way to the Edge of Destruction. And they basically said, didn't they say something like the emergency light was basically like the first, like the spark or something? Like the first, like, glimpse of the exploding TARDIS. I think they said something like that. Which, yeah, that was interesting. And I like, because this whole episode basically is called The Light at the End. That is the light, the little emergency light, the bam, 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 just that light. So, and that's the reason why, all of them, when that light came on, they looked at it, it's like, that shouldn't be there. Because, yeah, that wouldn't be there. That's an explosion. So, yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And then, at the end, when, I like, we have the Eighth Doctor and Charlie go to Mr. Dovey, and it's like, is everything okay? And he is furious. He's like, you are the 8th person, the 8th so-called doctor to come ask this. I love him, like, going off. And I love that each time, with, like, everything, the 8th Doctor can't come up with something new to say compared to his other 7, selves. So, the entire night, just one after another, the doctors have been checking up on him, and none of them have been saying anything different, which I actually find really funny. And then you get to hear all of them like, oh, well, Ian, Barbara, Susan, let's go. And then I think you hear the second doctor's like, all right, yeah, Jamie, Victoria, let's go. So that was really interesting, going all the way to the 8th Doctor and Charlie being like, all right, I think we're good, let's go. So that was really funny too, just because it's like, it's not that, we didn't hear all of it, we heard the last one. The last time the doctor went and checked on him. And by that point, there's like, this is the 8th person tonight to come to the door just asking if everything was okay. We are furious. We want to go to sleep. So yeah, I thought that was really funny. But yeah, that is basically all I wrote down for this. This was a really great episode. I really did enjoy it, and really great use of all of the doctors, honestly. I did really, really enjoy it, and I like that every doctor got something important to do. It wasn't really that, here's the current doctor and the other doctors are sort of his companions. Like, no, every doctor served a purpose. This wasn't, an 8th Doctor story where, oh, it also has the other doctors. Like, no, this was all 8 doctors. This could have been called the 8 Doctors, honestly. Although you could say, okay, yes, the first 3 didn't really get a whole lot, but that's because, we no longer have those actors, so they didn't really want to do too much with them. And instead, just brought in voice replacements, which I believe I saw that for the first Doctor, it was actually William Russell who was voicing him, which is interesting because, you have, this was 2013 when they made this. This was for the 50th. but they didn't go with David Bradley, who played William Hartnell in An Adventure in Space and Time. But instead, it was William Russell who played Ian Chesterton in the classic series as the First Doctor. So I thought that was really interesting, and I believe it was Heinz Fraser? I believe that's how you say his name. Who in the classic series played Jamie McCrimmon, and he voiced the Second Doctor in this. And I don't think I recognized. Whoever was voicing the Third Doctor. No, I don't think oh well. But yeah, I don't remember who was voicing the Third Doctor for this, but I don't think I would really recognize the name. I don't think. But maybe you guys can tell me in the comments, and maybe I will recognize it. But I definitely just noticed, William Russell as the First Doctor, and oh shit, what was his name? Heinz Fraser, I think. Isn't that? I think that's the name of the guy who played Jamie and the Second Doctor in this. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, really did enjoy this. Really, really liked it. And that pretty much wraps up everything for the 50th anniversary. We have finished. We finished The Night of the Doctor twice. We finished Day of the Doctor twice. We watched the Five-ish Doctors reboot. We watched An Adventure in Space and Time. I finished up the 11th Doctor's era with The Time of the Doctor. And I have now finished up the 50th anniversary completely with The Light at the End. What an amazing journey this has been just in the 50th anniversary alone. Like, just the amount of things that happened for Doctor Who's 50th anniversary is really, really astounding, So I really enjoyed this. I thought this was really great. And next week we are back to the normal stuff. Dad and I will be watching the next serial in, part of the next serial in Doctor Who Classic, going back all the way to the Hartnell era. We will be doing the reconstructions for all the missing episodes. So we're going to be starting with Season 1, Serial 4, Marco Polo, which is completely missing and reconstructed. Excuse me. Completely missing. We will be watching the reconstructions, and we will also be watching it because it's a 7-part serial. We will be watching the first 4 parts next week, and then the next week we will be watching the final 3 parts. And then next week I will also be starting on Series 8 of Doctor Who, the beginning of the 12th Doctor's era. So yeah, we are pretty much back to basics next week, but that is pretty much it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Doctor Who reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description.